This is the time, this is the place, and this is FC3 Monkey Business, your one-stop shop for everything geeky. And since everything is geeky, if you love it enough, you never know what you're gonna get. Well, you're about to find out, because this is your host, IMC, and this week, here's what you're gonna get. Our look at the classic movie monsters is going to continue this week. It's with Frankenstein's monster. After that, stick around for our upcoming events and our question of the week. Hi.
Hello.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
With me, as always, the legendary Tanya Metris. Oh, wait.
I'm not legendary.
No. The legend. I know, I probably wasn't
You're not supposed to agree with that. You are so dying.
You take your best shot there, DM. You've tried already, gelatinous cube.
Oh, that was great. He ran right into it.
Anyway, with me, as always, the legendary Billy DeTore. Hi, Bill.
Hi, Chris. How are you?
You still have 4 cats?
Still, yes.
Good. We had
Oliver didn't get out again?
We had to do a roll call check last week. Yeah. So. And then the lovely co-host, Tanya Metris.
Keep talking.
Hi, honey. I'll be talking for the next 45 minutes at the very least, because that's kind of my job. Producer Sherry's in the house.
Hello.
Hello, Producer Sherry. How are you today?
I am good. How
You're
are
well?
You?
All's good?
Yes.
We have more donuts.
We have more donuts.
This seems to be a thing. Last week we had donuts. This week we have donuts. Next week I'm hoping we're going to have donuts next week.
We really should have had popcorn in regards to our movie classics.
See, you're the only one who's really got a popcorn addiction.
Hey.
No.
Oh.
No.
Our baby bouncing monk also popcorn addict.
Oh my God, yes.
Yes.
That's funny.
I really just wanted to stop at the theater when
you're not even going to see a movie. You just want to get the popcorn.
No, just want to go get the popcorn.
Yes.
When I came over last week to watch Frankenstein, when we were talking about it today, I really thought about stopping at Regal Grease just to ask to get the popcorn before.
You can get the little kettle corn shakers, and so you can make popcorn and just throw the kettle corn in.
No, it's got to be ultimate butter, that buttery topping and things like that. We're not listening to Sherry.
My wife Susan is a kettle corn nut.
I do like kettle corn, but
kettle corn.
We went to the public market yesterday to pick up our healthy vegetables and
kettle corn.
fruits and wound up with a big bag of kettle corn. So
I knew I liked Susan.
Yeah.
I knew I really liked her.
I don't like caramel corn. I don't like kettle corn.
I got to be in the mood for kettle corn. But it's usually I get it at the Lilac Fest.
Not me.
Oh.
And Lana hates sharing popcorn with me at the theater because I won't let her get it the extra butter.
You like the extra butter?
No.
Oh,
I do.
Okay, so the next time when Captain Marvel comes out in March, when we go, you and I will get the big bucket of popcorn to share, and it'll have 20 layers of popcorn on it, and then we'll go and get it refilled.
The amount of snacks I'm going to hide in my Captain Marvel messenger bag when I go to the theater will be astounding.
Well, the thing is, when I go to have date night with Sean, or I get the tickets because I have the Cinemark app. So one ticket a month is free, and then every other ticket is $8.99. Normally it's $11.75. So when we went to see Night School a couple days ago, or last week, or whatever it was, it would cost me $8.99.
Which is money you'll never get back.
No.
It cost me $8.99. It was hysterical. It must have been. But it cost Sean 15 something for the snacks because I buy the tickets, he buys the snacks.
Gotcha.
See, you guys should come down to Rome when we do these. Ones. Shut up.
Wasn't built in a day.
Would you stop? Okay, I'm done.
It's a good song.
I'm not going to talk. Okay. I'm done. Screw y'all.
Smack him.
Okay.
He might like that.
Ow.
Maybe.
We're getting poked.
No, the reason why you should come to Rome is the theater in Rome has, if you go before noon, it's $5 tickets, and their snacks are really cheap, and they have the recliner seats.
Oh,
Woo-hoo.
nice.
Awesome.
Now, I would like to recommend, if you're up for a more artsy or fartsier movie, it's the
Little
Little Theater, which pops its own popcorn and uses real butter.
Ooh, it's even better.
Real butter.
I went to go see the Michael Moore movie last week just so I could get popcorn with real butter.
Is that Fahrenheit 11.9?
For Fahrenheit 11.9.
Yeah.
Now, way back when we'd have movie night or something at home when I was a little kid, my dad would make popcorn on the stove in a cast iron skillet.
Oh, my.
And pop it over the stove. This was before we had the ceramic cooktop type thing. So it was with oil and things like that, and it would pop up. And then he would throw half a stick of butter, whatever, in the pan and let it all melt, and then pour it over, and then pour the popcorn back in the pan, shake it up, pour it back in the bowl, and things like that. So it was like, it was like Friday night getting ready for Star Trek or whatever it was. We would Alana's like, "Oh, please pick me," type thing, because she's like, "Oh,"
because we have a wood stove in our barn. And Grampy got me one of those.
Was it the ones that
you pour the kernels in, and then it's got you pour oil in, and you close it. It's got like the metal thing, and then as the
they're really for open fires.
Yeah.
But you can use it on top of the wood stove.
Yeah, I would make popcorn like that.
We actually happen to have one of those popcorn carts at home, but it's not a really big cart, but it's like one of the ones where you can make the popcorn where it heats and spins.
Doesn't Grampy have one of those?
That one's Riker's, but
we had one
I use it.
I
don't know where
either
it is.
we gave it or Gammer gave him one of those.
No, we got some air poppers.
No, it was the hot dog one, the hot dog cart.
So now you know all of our deepest, darkest movie watching secrets.
Oh my God.
Popcorn,
and then Mike and Ike's.
Okay.
Actually, I prefer candy. I like Twizzlers.
Yeah.
I remember your Twizzler addiction. We haven't fed that in a while.
No, we haven't.
I'm working on
that.
I'm working on that because just last weekend was the Naples Grape Fest.
Oh, yeah.
And I know how much you like the grape Twizzlers.
Grape Twizzlers.
Now, I have a coworker that lives in the Honeoye area, and I think she was going down to the Grape Fest, and I'm like, I need you to get me a thing of the grape Twizzlers for Billy.
Yeah.
I'm like,
I didn't know you had a thing. I could have bought you some. They had them at Walmart when I was looking for
Grape
the black
Twizzlers?
ones. Yeah, I was looking for black ones, and they didn't have any of the black ones.
I like black ones, too.
Now, would you eat the orange creamsicle ones?
Those aren't my favorite. I like red, black, and the grape, really.
The red, black, and the grape ones.
Yep. The classic
Stop
red.
it. Ew, that's just disgusting.
What?
You sneezing out one of her D10s.
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm over here just minding my own business. Thank you very much.
Dangling earrings from your nose.
So we're going to take a break.
Okay.
And when we come back,
More popcorn,
more classic monster movies. It's Halloween season, and we're on to Frankenstein. So we're... And it's the original 1931 Frankenstein.
That's the one I watched.
Yes. And so we
finally got it.
We got the appropriate music for it. Is this Buffy the Vampire Slayer? I recognize a cello.
Well, why would we have Vampire Slayer if we're talking about Frankenstein?
I'm just thinking though, if Shakespeare got together with Bram Stoker and they
Stoker?
cello.
Stoker?
No, it's not Strokers. It's stuck in my head. That's the way it's going to be forever now.
I typed it 3 times.
And I read it once.
I did fix it though.
Could you imagine that?
You actually typed it as Stroker?
I did 3 times, but I fixed it.
Is this like all being recorded still while we're...
Because
we're not really
all
on
of our
break?
comedy gold is at least this is funny to us. That's all that matters.
Oh, there you go.
Here it goes.
Different types who wear a day coat, pants with stripes, or cutaway coat, perfect fits. Dressed up like $1 million trooper, trying mighty hard to look like Gary Cooper. Come, let's mix where Rockefellers walk with sticks or umbrellas in their midst.
If people could only see everyone dancing in the studio right now. Can I tell you I'm learning how to tap dance?
Yes, you are. That's true. You've been to 2 classes so far, haven't you? 2 or 3.
Right. 3. So now I have to go back and watch this movie to...
I own it.
Do you?
Yeah.
I had to tap dance for a musical.
I might be able to rent it for $2.99 on Google Play.
There you go.
And there we have it. Frankenstein's creature. Keep playing this. This is good. Has many differences from other popular monsters associated with Halloween. Rather than being based off an ancient legend, religious concept, or historical figure, his origin is rooted solely in literature. Being confined to one book. Despite this, public perception of the creature has changed greatly since the publication of the original novel, leading to wildly different styles and plot lines in its many film adaptations. First published anonymously in 1818, Mary Shelley's book is considered to be the very first science fiction novel and is very different from many of the films later derived from it.
Wow.
I'm just going to jam out for a little while. I'm loving this.
What truly is this?
It's Frankenstein by Edgar Winter Group.
Oh, very nice. Apart from the book, Mary Shelley is a fascinating individual.
I've heard a lot of little anecdotes about her, but I don't think I've really looked into her so much.
She was 18.
She was 18 when she wrote it?
When it was published.
Oh, wow.
So she started writing it when she was 16.
I heard, and I don't know if it's urban legend or not, but I heard a story that she was basically hanging out with the other writers.
She was hanging out with Percy Shelley, who she eventually married. She was not married to him at the time.
Okay.
Byron. Lord Byron.
Lord Byron, okay.
And somebody we mentioned in the last one, John Polidori.
Okay.
And her sister, who at the time was dating Byron.
Okay.
And they
courting back in the early 1800s.
No, they were sleeping together.
Oh, just it.
Yeah,
okay.
they had a child together.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Mary's mother was widely considered. Mary Wollstonecraft was widely considered to be the first feminist.
Okay.
And she wrote many treatises on equal rights for women.
I see.
Which was crazy when you remember she was writing in the late 1700s.
Yeah, I'm getting that.
And so she was raised. So Mary and her sister were raised. Claire, I believe her name was, were raised in an extremely permissive household, and that believed that women were just as equal to men. And she actually went away with Percy Shelley when she was 16.
So, of course, ages are different. I mean, a 16-year-old today is definitely not going to be the same as a 16-year-old.
Yes.
Back in the early 1800s.
Yeah. But they went away. They went away for the summer, and the story is that Frankenstein, the ideas for Frankenstein, came from, there was a bet of who could write the best horror story.
Okay.
And The Vampire by Dr. John Polidori, who we mentioned in the last one,
right,
was the story he wrote. From that.
During this bet.
Yeah, that was his one.
It's almost like they had their own little private NaNoWriMo.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and Shelley and Byron wrote poems, but I can't remember which ones they were.
Okay.
And then she and Polidori wrote books.
Okay. And from her came...
Frankenstein.
That's Frankenstein.
There it is. Thank you. Thank you, Billy, on the trigger there. Loving it.
Yep.
So... It's remarkable when you think about it, because she was a young person writing in an era that does not normally see literature of this type, and she crafted what would become almost a cornerstone of a genre. Mm-hmm. And it's endured. Now, that original book, have you ever read the original Frankenstein itself? How was it?
So has Monk.
So has Monk? I have not.
I had to do it for school.
Okay.
It was actually quite good.
Yeah.
Yes, I
is it a
enjoyed
long
it
read?
immensely.
It's
not terribly.
It's not bad.
It's a short Gothic novel.
It's creepy.
It's very creepy, and I would definitely consider it sci-fi, not horror.
Okay. Because of the dealings of science involving in it.
And unlike most of the film adaptations, the monster, who, by the way, is not Frankenstein is the doctor.
Right.
I know that's the biggest misconception ever.
Yeah. But the monster is actually incredibly intelligent.
Okay.
And well-spoken. And
he's not the green that a lot of people picture him. He's yellow.
He looks like a corpse.
Jaundiced.
Yeah. Okay. He's green and gray, and he's gray and yellow, and just doesn't look real healthy. He doesn't turn to violence until basically after he's brought to life. Spoilers.
Like they don't know the story of Frankenstein.
It's only a 200-year-old book. After he's brought to life, which all the movies where it's the the big huge laboratory and the light, none of that's in the book.
No,
no. It's basically in a darkened room.
That was the spectacle for the movie.
He doesn't want people to find out that he's doing this.
Yes.
Right.
Well, because you're playing with the principles of life and nature, so
Yes.
you'd be ostracized.
Plus, he was stealing corpses. So that's not that was frowned
people
on
are
even
stealing
back then.
brains too. Yeah.
The funny thing was he still had great teeth and hair.
Yes,
even though he looked.
Yes, he had good teeth and hair.
He had great teeth and hair.
Yes, he did. But after he creates him, after he comes to life, Frankenstein gets scared. Mm-hmm. It's almost like he never expected it to work. So he runs away and he leaves his creation alone.
Oh, goody.
Who has just woken up, and now what he considers to be his father, he calls him father.
Uh-huh.
Throughout the rest of the story, has
permutations.
just completely turned his back on him.
Uh-huh.
And we also have to remember Dr. Frankenstein is only like in his early 20s. He's a very young man. He's still in school at this time. So he runs away and because he can't deal with it. And the monster, the creature, who has no name, though at one point he does say he should be called Adam.
Right.
But though it is not it's not actually a name. The creature says I should be called Adam because I am the first of my kind.
Right.
He tries to interact with others, tries his best to interact with others, and is shunned and treated like a monster. So basically he says, okay, I'm not going to find what I need in this world. So he returns to Victor and says, you need to create a mate for me. You need to create someone like me so I am not alone. If you're not going to be the one to be with me, you need to make someone like me.
Gotcha. And that's how the Bride of Frankenstein comes around.
That's eventually the movie, yes. But that is the whole thing. That is the whole story. It's this creature's longing for companionship is what causes all of the violence and the horror. Most of the horror is done to him, not from him.
Now, do you find that this really translates to the movie?
No.
I saw.
Listening, I'm just like, that's not.
It's not what I saw. I don't
No.
remember seeing that aspect. I do want to touch real quick on the movie in the big. How last week we were talking about with Dracula, how these movies were adaptations of plays. They were very stage screen oriented. And like I pointed out last week with Dracula, at the beginning of Frankenstein, somebody actually comes out through a curtain and addresses the audience. Yeah. Without looking at the camera, they're looking down at the audience, as it were. And so you have this holdover to the early days of cinema, in essence, and how it feels and how it looks and how it sounds, and you can almost smell the grease paint, when they're kind of going through the early blocking. The book that you were just describing, I don't remember seeing that in the movie.
There is a version.
Yes, and I've seen it. We watched
there
it in
is
class.
A version. I'm trying to remember which one it was.
Of this movie or of a different movie?
Mary Shelley's Frankenstein from 1994. I'm trying to remember who was in it.
Was that Kenneth Branagh?
Yes.
I think so.
It was, yes. He directed it, and it was, oh my God.
It was good.
It's a very faithful retelling of the story, but it did really bad. Yes, that's what Robert Duvall plays the creature.
I saw it at the theater, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it didn't do well.
It didn't do because it was too authentic, probably. It wasn't flashy enough.
Yeah.
Hollywood sucks.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But yes, but what I find interesting is this is Frankenstein, the one we're talking about. It came out the same year. Mm-hmm. It came out after Dracula because actually Bela Lugosi was offered the role. Of the creature, but both he and John Carradine later turned down the role of the creature because
no talking parts,
and they didn't want to not talk.
I see.
Though they both played Dracula at some point.
You all right over there?
Yeah, I'm just like throwing the microphone off and things like that. So never mind. Leave me alone.
There's a Star Wars connection.
Really?
David Prowse
played. Who was inside the Darth Vader suit, played the monster in 3 films.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. And then his voice was dubbed over by James Earl Jones.
I couldn't see James Earl Jones going,
with authority. With authority. That deep resonance. Oh, my God, that'd be awesome. Anyway.
That's Java.
Yeah, there you go.
And Igor is not an original character.
Nope.
Not from the book or the
funny.
movies.
Tanya and I were watching Frankenstein the other day, and I was like, "Where's Igor? Is that
Did he
supposed to be
reference
Igor? Are they calling him Igor?" And then no, it's Fritz. Oh, okay. Yep. Where's Igor?
Son of Frankenstein.
Son of Frankenstein's where Igor shows
1939
up.
sequel.
Now, is Igor in the book?
No.
So Igor is a creation of Hollywood film.
In fact, he doesn't have an assistant.
He really doesn't.
Though in part of the book he has a friend who's helping him, sort of.
And he also has a mentor at some point.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, Fritz was a nimble little hunchback.
At least in the movie,
God, he was
climb up there.
He was climbing
and that was
up
a really
the
sharp knife too.
Yes, it was, because one swipe and that guy was falling. That was it. So, Billy, you're our classic monster movie expert.
Yes.
This has been your thing. You're growing up now. We're talking about the big three, the classic trilogy this month. Dracula, and then Frankenstein today, and then next man. We're going to talk about Wolf Week.
Yep.
Do you see where that thought pattern was going?
Are you turning into a wolf?
Chris needs more sleep. Film at 11.
It's not news.
Where's this one rank in your personal opinion?
I like this one a lot.
Yeah.
There's the famous scene of the monster with the little girl.
Right.
That
she's throwing pretty things into the water.
She's throwing flowers in, and eventually he tosses her in. But because of the way the movie was edited for the times, they just cut from. They don't show the monster throwing her in. So he could have done much worse stuff to her if you left to your own imagination.
Oh, yeah.
Boris Karloff wanted the scene removed. He begged to have the scene removed because he thought it was horrifying. And they were afraid that the little girl was going to be terrified of him in the costume. She loved him.
Oh, yeah.
She just ran right up to him, thought he was the coolest thing ever.
As a little kid seeing this, the monster is the scary guy, but when you watch it as a teenager, as a grown-up, you realize the undertonings of the monster being sweet and naive and gentle until pushed.
Yeah.
And I just sort of like that the monster over the year, Frankenstein's monster, Dracula, all of them have just sort of, they're sort of the Mickey Mouses of the monster world. Mickey Mouse represents Walt Disney, and now they're more figureheads, the monsters for horror in general, I guess.
So like the Mount Rushmore of monster movies.
That's it, exactly.
Yeah. And I think
to the point where you got Herman Munster.
And I think that's one of the things about Frankenstein is that a lot of folks who don't delve too deep, they don't understand that Frankenstein's monster, for starters, is the monster. Frankenstein's the doctor, like Sherry pointed out. But the monster himself was not born and suddenly evil and wants to destroy and just kill things. He's not a monster per se. He was just an abomination, a creation. And he was just trying to fit in. He was trying to belong. He had that longing, that need to be a part of something, to understand what the hell's happening to him. And that whole interaction with the little girl was so amazing because you can see that here's this creature who, for decades, a century now at this point, 2 centuries as far as the book is concerned, has horrified people at the mere mention of the name. But if you look at the character itself, this is not an evil, this is not a villain.
No, he was innocent, and until he came across another innocent creature who didn't see his physical ugliness and just wanted a friend. I do want to state that, yes, in the movie, I definitely agree with that. In the book,
he's not really a sympathetic character.
Okay.
You can feel bad for him. You can feel bad for his need to belong. But he does horrific things in order to get Victor. He mutilates Victor's brother in order to get Victor to come home because he couldn't find him.
Well, Victor's brother had it coming. Did you see how Victor's brother was dressed in the book?
He had it coming. That's a totally...
He had it coming.
That's Chicago.
So that's one of the things
his family too.
He is a horrific figure. He goes to horrific lengths to get what he wants. He's not a hero.
So he becomes president.
That's an entirely different story.
He chases Victor all over the world.
Yeah.
Really?
Which is one of the reasons that the 1994 film was panned, was because they tried a little too hard to make him sympathetic. Rather, they were, in some ways, they were being very, very true to the story, and then in other ways, they were trying to make him almost the hero.
Okay.
Which Frankenstein's monster is not. He is not a good guy. He is. The problem is he is a creature without a soul, therefore without a conscience, as far as the telling of the story.
Now, the most recent Frankenstein version I've seen was the one with, what's his name? Was it Thomas Jane or was it Aaron? I can't remember the actor's last name. It was Aaron something or other. The guy who played Harvey Dent in the Batman movie. Help me, somebody.
I'm not familiar.
Oh, you guys are killing me right now. It's the one where he's like fighting the angels and demons and stuff like that, and he had the really cool battle axe.
Is it Frankenstein Unbound? Something
no,
like
it's just Frankenstein. Okay. Or I Frankenstein.
Frankenstein 2014?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that's the one. That was the most recent iteration I've seen. And it was just interesting to see how they depicted the character and tried to touch on, and they created him almost as the anti-hero. Mm. And I'm wondering, that's where I brought that movie up to lead into this particular question. Is this the kind of era right now in this current state of cinema that we're used to with superheroes and anti-heroes and stuff like that, that we really could pull a Frankenstein right out of Mary Shelley's original 200-year-old book, that people would be more receptive if we do a straight shot right from the book? Because we have Wolverine, we have Deadpool, we have these anti-heroes. You know, we have these people who they're not nice, they're not gentle, they're not kind, they don't look out for the right, they have an agenda. That kind of a thing. Do you think that the time is right for Mary Shelley's book to come to light in full power?
The problem with that is that in the book, the creature is not the main character.
Okay.
Victor is the main character.
The doctor.
It's Victor's story.
Uh-huh.
They almost never call him doctor.
Okay.
Because he's a young man.
Gotcha.
First love, going to school. He is the main character. Mm-hmm. And it's the horror that he's dealing with.
I see.
Throughout the story.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, one of the main reasons why he decides to help the creature is because when the creature kills his brother,
right,
his adopted sister, kind of, it was a girl who his family took in, but that it was always assumed he would marry someday. She's blamed for the death of his brother, because they were both trapped outside of town overnight, and she lived and he died. Mm-hmm. So he's doing it to protect her, not because he feels bad for what the creature's going through. It's to protect the woman he loves. He is the main character. That's the thing. So I can see where you're going, but you would have to do it not as a strict adaptation, because the creature is not the main character.
All right.
The formatting of the book was really cool too.
In what way?
Because it starts off. I know there are letters.
Yeah, I'm jumping onto that. I'm jumping onto that because I'm on NewYorker.com, and it's The Strange and Twisted Life of Frankenstein. It's 4 stories in one: an allegory, a fable. Now, getting onto yours, an epistolary novel, which is all the letters, and an autobiography. Mm-hmm. A chaos literary fertility that left a young author at pains to explain her hideous progeny. When they put the they did the first theatrical production of Frankenstein in 1823.
She's even saying it now.
Mary Shelley had given birth to 4 children, had buried 3, lost another unnamed baby to a miscarriage so severe that she nearly died of bleeding that stopped only when her husband had her sit on ice. So, and then the monster was listed as a dash. So it's like, it is going back to like her life, because she was talking about finding her baby dead, and it was yellowed and whatever, it's all the pieces.
It was a horrific thing.
All the pieces of her life and things like that, and she published it anonymously initially.
Yeah,
for fear of criticism.
Now, did she go through all of this?
That was from
after she wrote because she wrote the book when she was like 16, 17
She wrote the book in 1818.
1818, and you're telling me
she was born in 1800.
She was born in 1800.
Oh yeah, she'd gone
through all of this before she wrote the book.
No, not
by
all.
1823.
Okay, so she started going.
She had one son, and she'd had the miscarriage. And then she had 2 more and lost those 2.
So she wrote the book before her life happened in this regard.
Yeah.
So
Well, she had the horrific miscarriage, which is what this is based on.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it says here that she began writing Frankenstein when she was 18, 2 years after she'd become pregnant with her first child, a baby she did not name. And it says, Nurse the baby read, she had written in her diary day after day until the 11th day. I woke in the night to give it a suck. It appeared to be sleeping so quietly that I would not wake it. Then in the morning, find my baby dead. With grief at that loss came the fear of a fever from the milk. Her breasts were swollen, inflamed, unsucked. Her sleep, too, grew fevered. Dreamt that my little baby came to life again, that it had only been cold, that we rubbed it before the fire and it lived, she wrote in her diary. And then she's like, awake and find no baby.
Yeah.
So
Damn, that's horrifying.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay.
There is a movie based on...
Isn't it coming out? I thought...
No, there was a movie called Gothic. It's Gabrielle Byrne plays Byron. And I'm going to look... Are you looking that up? Because it was an amazing... And it's about that...
That cluster of people.
Yes, it was about that whole thing and where she got the ideas.
Okay.
Gabriel Byrne as Lord Byron, Julian Sands as Percy Bysshe Shelley, Natasha Richardson.
Natasha Richardson plays Mary
Mary
Is
Shelley.
it the late Natasha?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's 1986.
Or
Yeah.
former wife.
What?
Liam Neeson's late wife.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. She was amazing in it. She was amazing in it. It was an amazing film.
Gotcha.
I've watched it several times. It's a little over the top, but I think for what it's telling, the story it's telling, it needs to be, and there's some really disturbing visuals, which
there you
needs
go.
to be, because this
This
is where
the season for
It's
those.
leading up to her writing Frankenstein.
and
Okay.
Dr. Poldari's in it.
The competition to write the horror story at Lake Geneva.
Yes, Lake Geneva.
Finally figured out the formatting for the book.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Starts off with letters from a captain going how they picked up this weird passenger.
Yeah.
And it's Victor. And the captain gets the story from Victor. So you hear about it all through Victor's point of view. And then there's small bits within Victor's story that are from the monster's point of view.
Oh, okay.
So you get 3 different points of view within the story, and it's really interesting.
Sehr gut. Now, the very first film adaptation of Frankenstein apparently is from 1910. The Thomas Edison Company produced a one-reel film. The original negative was apparently destroyed in a fire in 1914, and the movie was thought to be forever lost, but more than 60 years later, Wisconsin film collector discovered that his archives included a nitrate print of a rare movie, and the rest is history. And you said that's available online, Cher?
Yes, you can
You
definitely
can find it
that.
out
You
there.
said it was, what, 15 minutes?
Yeah, it's 15 minutes long. It's very short.
So
It's the only film that Thomas Edison ever made.
There you go. And there's a couple of movies from the silent film era, and then the film series by Universal Studios, which kind of gave birth to the cheesy movie theory. I'm thinking because Frankenstein came out in 1931, but then Bride of Frankenstein, Son of Frankenstein, The Ghost of Frankenstein, Frankenstein meets the Wolfman.
Woohoo!
Some people feel that The Bride of Frankenstein is actually the better film.
Okay.
Yeah,
It
it's
is.
not cheesy. It's not cheesy. No, it's a very good film.
It's an excellent movie.
Her hairstyle does not throw that theory off.
Nope.
Okay.
In fact, it's iconic.
And then
It is.
Billy's one of Billy's favorite movies, Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein in 1948.
Absolutely.
And that's a good movie, you're saying.
It's a very good movie. It's hilarious, but combines scaries.
Okay.
You get your scaries, you get your laughs. And it has Bela Lugosi and
Who's on first?
Boris
What's on
Karloff.
second?
Exactly.
I don't know's on third. Frankenstein's in.
Abbott.
But no, it's an excellent movie.
Okay.
And then the film series by Hammer Film Productions has really got to ratchet up the cheese. Where you have The Curse of Frankenstein, Revenge of Frankenstein, The Evil of Frankenstein, Frankenstein Created Woman.
That's one we got to watch.
Might explain a lot. Frankenstein and the Monster from Hell. And then just keeps on going and going and going.
Flesh for Frankenstein.
That's amazing. Oh, and that's the one you were talking about with Robert Duvall, Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, the film, 1994.
Yes.
And then I, Frankenstein, 2014.
But at some
Adaptation,
point,
loosely based.
nowadays the monster is referred to as Frankenstein, or that's how many people think. At what point does perception become reality?
Never.
Okay. So I watch an anime where they have Frankenstein as a character. His first name is Frank and his last name is Stein. They call him Dr. Stein throughout the anime.
Nice.
And he's constantly fighting with madness throughout the entire thing. Like, his madness is that he wants to...
Madness takes control.
Takes its toll.
Takes its toll.
It's a totally different movie.
Anyway.
And he's like, it's like...
Same concept, though.
But isn't he creating a monster?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's the same concept. Rocky is, in essence, Frankenstein's monster.
Rocky
And
is the
think
monster.
of in the song, There's a Light,
Yeah, it's the lightning.
and it's overhead at Frankenstein's place.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, no, that's definitely a Frankenstein story. Rocky Horror Picture Show. In fact, it's considered to be one of the most successful Frankenstein adaptations.
It bombed at the theater, but has lived in infamy for the rest of eternity at this point.
Okay, if you're interested in the story of Frankenstein but don't want to read, because it can be a difficult read. It's 200 years old. The language is a little difficult.
200 years old, yeah.
There's a podcast called Fictional by Jason Weiser, who he retells stories that are in the public domain, and one of the ones he did was Frankenstein, and it's an excellent adaptation.
Okay.
And he just reads, and he does very good. He's done a lot of different Call of Cthulhu and
interesting, just
all kinds of things. But that one in particular is that I remember that one being very, very good.
Okay. All right. So we're going to take a quick break. We're going to wrap this one up for the day, and we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we got some events to talk about. We have a question of the week. So from here on in, it's just a matter of Halloween. Creatures, bad stuff, monsters, and things. Bye.
Watch Solier. It's good.
This is a Frankenstein traffic report.
Nice.
That's your Frankenstein traffic report.
Beautiful. So we got a whole chunk of events coming up. This is Halloween weekend is going to be a big weekend for us. And so we're just going to go through it as quick as we can here, but we're going to start Halloween weekend with FC3 starting October 25th at 7 o'clock at Nightmare Manor, Southtown Plaza, 3333 West Henrietta Road, Rochester, New York, 14623. MMC and Nightmare Manor with special guest Michael Koski from The Walking Dead. Half of the shenanigators are going to be in town. Tickets are $20 at the door. Donations of children's books or school supplies accepted. To walk through with directors of Mighty Monkey Corporation and Michael Koski. Proceeds of the evening are going to go to MMC Education Programs, and please note that no discounts or coupons will apply to this special event. So that will be October 25th at the Nightmare Manor, which Tanya was saying last week. This could be the last.
This is their last year.
This is the last Nightmare Manor.
Yes,
so
that's on their website that this is
go
their
out
last
with a bang.
Year.
So join.
Come scare Chris.
Come scare. Well, no, Chris might be in the play at this. I think I'm going to be right there because since Greg French is not in town, somebody has to be the other shenanigator.
You're right. So go walk through and scare Chris.
Yeah, okay, that might happen. All right, more startling, and startling Chris is a bad plan.
I won't be there to do it. Sorry.
All right, the very next day, October 26th from 7 to 11, limited number of tickets available for tasting and trivia at Knox Craft Cocktails and Comfort Foods. Again, Michael Koski, we're going to be keeping him busy that weekend. That's how we keep him out of trouble. Tickets are $35 and include a drink voucher, light food tastings, and an evening of trivia. That will be at Knox Craft Cocktails and Comfort Foods at the Village Gate Mall, our usual living room over there. So that's 26th. 25th, Nightmare Manor, 26th at Knox. What are we doing 27th and 28th, Tanya?
We are going to be adopting kittens from Lollipop Farm at the Greeks. Oh, wait. Wait,
Billy.
that's Billy. No,
Flower City Mini.
We are probably going to be posted right near the Lollipop
As we
Farm
always are.
things in
We're
the
in the
theater
theater
wing.
wing,
But it
typically.
is Flower City Mini-Con. Exhibitors, vendors, and artists. Tables for that weekend are only $75. So please contact Brian at fc3roc.org if you are interested, and we will keep Billy out of Lollipop Farm.
Yeah,
Actually, according to Sherry, that might be the safe weekend for me because I really want a new black cat, but I guess they won't give me a
I
black
have a
cat
stuffed
Halloween
one.
weekend they typically
for
not.
Halloween.
And that'll
Yeah.
be both the 27th and 28th. Michael will probably be. There is talk about racing on those stuffed animals.
Oh, the
that we
stuffed
did with
animal
the Power
scooters?
Rangers in February or March. So.
I see Michael just tooling around the entire mall with it.
Yeah, I don't have enough quarters for that. But he's looking forward to coming up again.
So you, dear listener, our favorite listener, would you like to be a part of FC3 Monkey Business and the Mighty Monkey Corporation? Well, we've got a few ways of doing that. This is the business time. The first way to do it is become a sponsor. We have sponsorship levels of all kinds, and we're even willing to create custom sponsorship packets. So please contact us at sponsorships@fc3roc.org. The next way of joining us in the fun is by supporting us on Patreon. Please check us out at patreon.com/FC3ROC. All membership levels will include access to the Patreon-only blog, plus tons of great perks at all levels. Want to help others find the show? I would love it if you did. Please leave us a review wherever you listen to us. You can find us on Apple Podcast, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spreaker, Podbean, YouTube, Stitcher, and if you're especially nice to us, we may even let you into the studio and you can watch it firsthand happening right there in front of you. Is there a place you find your podcast you can't find FC3 Monkey Business? Let us know, and we'll see about fixing that up for you. And please, 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 please follow us on Twitter. Our handle is at FC3MB Podcast, and if you do follow us, say hi. We love it when you say hi.
Hi.
Hello. You know, that is one of the levels on Patreon.
It
Yes.
is, isn't it?
It is.
Is getting to pick the topic and hang out.
I wonder who would be the first person to do that. I would say James Irish would
James-
probably be
Ja-
one
James
of the
has
ones.
even hinted that he's thinking about doing it.
So I triple dog dare him.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. See, that's a Christmas movie kind of reference. So we're in Halloween right now, so hang on to that for a couple months' time. All right, so we're going to jump into the question of the week, and we're going to wrap this particular podcast up for the day. Billy,
Yes.
what single work of fiction do you wish everyone would read, and why?
See, I think that's all very subjective, especially in fiction.
Exactly.
I have favorites. Three particular favorite works of fiction. I didn't want to go the comic book graphic route novel or way. I wanted to go actual novel.
Okay.
Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Nice.
The Stand by Stephen King. The World According to Garp by John Irving, which is
Very
a favorite. And actually, the one I really wish people would read is Wicked by Gregory Maguire.
Okay.
Because
Excellent.
everybody thinks it's a light, fluffy Broadway musical, and it's not. And it's a political masterpiece.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes.
And I wish more people would read the actual novel of Wicked.
And while you're doing that, I'll be over here defying gravity.
Okay. You do look like
And Dina
Elphaba?
Dina, Abby Delzime or whatever the hell John Travolta called her.
Yeah.
I love Idina Menzel.
She is
I
awesome.
really love her.
She is awesome. Hey, Monk, how about you, darling? What single work of fiction do you wish everyone would read, and why?
Nice.
I have a hard time picking.
You can pick a book, just don't pick your nose. You can pick a friend's book,
Just don't pick your friend's nose.
just don't pick your friend's book. I guess. I don't know.
You just said she could.
I'm contradiction wrapped in an enigma.
Apparently.
Surrounded by a taco.
Surrounded by a taco in a Baja.
Do we need to come back to you?
No, I particularly like a bunch of Mercedes Lackey's trilogies.
Okay, so why do you think people should read the Valdemar books?
The vast characters. They've got people that come from abusive backgrounds. They've got people that are gay. They've got. It's just fun. I love the storytelling too.
Yes.
It's a good book and a statement.
Just She's very versatile.
Yep.
Miss Sherry.
The one that I think, I love all of Mercedes Lackey's books. The one that I think everyone should read is Lamb by Christopher Moore.
Okay.
The full title is Lamb, the Gospel According to Biff, Jesus Christ's Childhood Friend.
Right. I think I remember talking about this book once before, or at least a reference to it.
Well, when we talked to Christopher.
Yes.
Yes. I think it's an amazing book. He's funny, and he's both reverent and irreverent at the same time.
Okay.
I never at no time do I feel he is being disrespectful to people who follow the teachings of Christ.
Okay.
It's basically the story of Christ's childhood and what was going on during all the years we don't know where he was.
Oh, that's, there's always somebody who's going to have an opinion on that.
Yes. And in the book, he goes to search out the 3 wise men.
Really?
Yes.
Does he find them?
Yes, he does.
Spoilers.
No, it's a tremendous book.
Okay.
It's a tremendous book. I learned a lot. I mean, he obviously knew his stuff. He knew his religion. He knew his stories. He didn't just do from the Bible. There's a lot of other books that are not part of the Bible proper that I do know enough about them to know that he researched into those. It's just, they're really, really it's a really excellent book. And I highly recommend it.
Very cool. Tanya.
Yes.
Do you have an answer for this question of the week?
Actually, I do. I was thinking about it. I am not going towards novels or books. I'm going more into the short stories because I've always been a short story fan. And being an English major, and I was an English teacher for a couple of years, and now I'm a special ed teacher. And every so often, there's a couple that I really, really enjoy. One's An Occurrence at Owl Creek Bridge.
Okay.
By Ambrose Bierce.
That was a great Twilight Zone episode.
Yeah, and what I like
Which wasn't filmed for Twilight Zone.
What I like about this is, I mean, it's American Civil War. The main character is a supporter of the Confederacy. That he ends up being a traitor and gets caught and is being prepared for execution in Alabama, and he escapes. The rope breaks. He's able to swim down the river and things like that and escape his death, or so he thinks. And it's gives you all the imagery and stuff surrounding it and how it possibly could be, but it's just saying that there's no romance or glory in war, but he was trying to escape and getting back to his wife, and that was his whole thing. And then come to find out, he truly is hung at Owl Creek Bridge, but he believes that he has escaped. And
it was everything racing through his head.
And the last thing.
In the last thing before he
and
finally
it was
passed.
truly the third part. He imagined it during the time that falling through the bridge and the noose breaking his neck. But
it's such an amazing concept I've seen that done in other things, and I think that's just an incredible framing technique.
Yeah. And so therefore what I usually do when I was teaching this particular story is I would take that part of that third section off. I would take the ending off and have the students write the rest of the ending as if they didn't know that he truly dies or whatever, and say what happens, and it kind of gets to their creative juices flowing. So that's one of them. And then another one I like is The Lottery.
Oh, wow! That's a rough story.
And Lamb to the Slaughter.
You like the dark stuff, don't you?
I do kind of like that.
But you don't like Black Mirror?
It depends on what it is. It truly depends. Certain things of Black Mirror I liked, but not. I don't know.
But that framing technique, isn't that what the Last Temptation of Christ was?
Potentially, I don't know.
It was.
I never watched the movie. I know there's a controversy around it. I know the movie exists.
Because Christ got married and he did these things, and you find out it's basically all the what ifs that went through his head as he was hanging on the cross. If he had made other choices, it was the last temptation.
Gotcha.
And he was basically given this vision of this is what your life could be if you just lay it down right now. This is what your life can be. And he chooses to stay on the cross. So I don't know why people get so upset about it, because I think it's just an amazing concept. For someone who likes short stories, have you ever read Chivalry by Neil Gaiman?
No.
The first sentence is, Mrs. Whitaker found the Holy Grail. It was under a fur coat. Which is, I think, one of the best first lines of any story ever. It's about a woman who finds the Holy Grail in a thrift store. And it's not like she doesn't know. She knows exactly what it is. She knows it's the Holy Grail. And the next thing she knows, Galahad's at her door wanting it. And she's like, no, but it looks so nice on my mantle. Exactly.
No, you can't have it. I'm sorry. It goes with my decor.
It's an awesome story.
It was the beacon and it's grail-shaped. Naughty Zoot.
I have changed my whole decor to go around this grail. You can't have it.
But it was because
it would fit in my house.
It would look on.
It would fit with your decor.
Yes,
Absolutely.
it would. Yeah. So yeah, I'm also like the Cask of Amontillado and the Telltale Heart. I'm definitely an Edgar Allan Poe
Though
fan.
It's funny, for Edgar Allan Poe, my favorites are two of his lesser known stories.
Which ones?
I love The Murders at Rue Morgue, which is considered to be the first detective story.
Okay.
And I love Hop Frog.
I haven't
heard of that one, I don't think.
It's about a jester who's a midget. He's a dwarf, actually, and is treated awfully, and what he does.
I see.
And it's an amazing story, but it's really creepy, and it's got a
that's Poe.
really creepy ending.
That's Poe.
Yeah.
No, and I was mentioning Edgar Allan Poe last week to you when we were getting ready to watch Frankenstein and Dracula. It gave me like a whole sense of watching the film version of The Fall of the House of Usher.
Yeah.
So it was like the same aspect that I got. So,
well, I've got two also. The first is Nightfall by Isaac Asimov. It was a science fiction novelette that he wrote in 1941. It was one of his first published pieces, I believe, if I remember my trivia on Asimov correctly, long before he published Foundation. It's in essence, it's about a planet where it's always in sunshine because of the way that it's in a system with multiple suns, but because of a confluence of events, the planet is going to go into darkness, into night, for the first time in like millennia. And so you have the citizenry who is used to nothing but 24-hour sunshine, and so it's a lot of people are treating it like end of the world. Some are treating it like a chance to learn. It's how you see society dealing with, in essence, kind of a sort of an apocalypse. And I remember reading it when I was in college and just being completely fascinated by it.
Is it dystopian?
Not really dystopian. It's more of a social commentary.
Okay. Yeah.
Using a science fiction angle to make commentary on it. And then the other book that I would strongly urge people to read is a simple little novel called The Fellowship of the Ring. By a very little-known author from England called J.R.R. Tolkien.
Oh, is this a poke at me?
No, this is not a poke at you. I recommend.
I've read some of them.
Here's the thing: I've read this book on a couple of occasions, and it's tough read.
It's long.
It's a long read, but it offers so much vision into. We have come into an era where people love to play D&D, and they love fantasy, and they love the Lord of the Rings movies that Peter Jackson made. To read where it all came from, I think would offer a great sense of enlightenment for what I call the casual fan, the movie fan, the D&D player who takes their references from everything they've heard, stuff like that. Read the book. It's thick, it's hard, it's tough sometimes. The language is challenging at times, but you get a sense of just how much of a genius Tolkien was, how deep the man's intellect went as he created this world and these cultures and these races and these visions and these situations. I think you would benefit from just how amazing and how expansive this imagination is. So those are my two recommendations: Nightfall by Asimov and Fellowship of the Ring by Tolkien.
And then he called a mountain Mount Doom.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, and I know that I came up with this question, and I keep bringing up more stuff, and I'm sorry, but based on things that you said and based on things that you said, I want to recommend 2 short stories if you have not read them.
Okay.
The first one being There Will Come Soft Rains by Ray Bradbury.
Okay.
That's
a great name.
An amazing, I mean, I would be very shocked if once you started reading it, you didn't go, oh my God, yeah, I've read this. Because it's very popular in high schools. And it's an amazing sci-fi short story with the twist at the end is just mind-boggling. And then another one that breaks me every time I read it, and I reread it all the time, and it was by Ursula K. Le Guin, and it's called The Ones Who Walk Away from Omelas.
I've never heard of that one before.
It is a really tough read just because of the subject matter, but it's an important read.
Okay.
And it's basically a commentary on what would you be willing to put up with? What horrors would you allow to happen in order to have a utopia? Is there anything, is there no price too high?
It's an interesting commentary on today's society, too.
It really is, and I highly recommend it. It's The Ones Who Walk Away from Omelas by Ursula K. Le Guin. Both of these stories can be found online in their entirety.
She just recently passed away, didn't she?
I have it right here.
It's long. It's
This is 7 pages long.
If you start reading it by now, you should have it done by next week's recording.
No, it's not that long.
Okay.
But no, I highly recommend. And you like short stories, and she was one of my absolute favorite fantasy writers. She was one of the first fantasy writers I ever read. Her and J.R.R. Tolkien's The Hobbit were the first fantasy books. Gotcha. The Wizard of Earthsea and that. So, sorry, had to put those in because
that's
it just
good.
made me think of those.
So there we are, another week of monkey business. How are we doing on time, Billy?
We are doing really good on time. Actually, it's about 56 minutes.
Nice. We're there.
Right where we wanted to be.
Being careful, right where we wanted to be. So we're going to go ahead and wrap it up for this week. And next week, we're going to bring our flea collars out because we're going to talk about wolves and dogs and stuff like that.
I have a very cute wolfman zombie baby.
And this has been Monkey Business. And you can't wait to talk about it.
Yeah, he's cute.
Product of the Mighty Monkey Corporation, friends and family. Join us on Facebook. Follow us on Patreon. Join us on Twitter. Join us wherever we go. And we will lead you to where the entertainment is. We love you. We miss you. We want to see you next week. Have a great one. Dun, dun.